The Zorvani High Command had debated for weeks before authorizing the strike against the Terrans, and when the final vote was cast, it passed by a narrow margin, carried by arrogance, centuries of galactic supremacy, and a dangerous underestimation of an unfamiliar species from a small blue planet they called Earth, a species they believed would shatter under the weight of superior firepower and fleet strength. But even as the attack was launched, even as the first Zorvani ships breached the edges of Sol's star system, there were whispers in the shadows of the Galactic Council, whispers from older races, the ones who still remembered how the humans had entered the galactic stage decades ago with quiet observation and unsettling restraint, whispers that warned not to provoke them, that told stories of what the humans kept hidden beyond their borders. But the Zorvani dismissed those stories as a trembling of cowards, relics of an older, weaker generation, and so, with pride, swelling in their twin hearts, they struck, their fleet of 97 warships descending upon Earth's orbital defenses with merciless precision, shattering satellites, space stations, and civilian infrastructure with kinetic bombardments and plasma lances, declaring their dominance in fire and steel. But what the Zorvani failed to understand was that the Terrans had spent their short time in the galactic community preparing, observing, and building not in arrogance but in anticipation, because humanity, for all its flaws, had learned one unshakable truth in their own bloody history: that peace was only secured to the promise of overwhelming retaliation, and so they never truly trusted the treaties, never believed the flowery words of the Council, and they built in secret, in the dark, beyond the farthest colonies, forging weapons not for conquest, but for the inevitable day when someone would forget that humans were born from war. And now that day had come. The Zorvani, fleet drifting victorious in Earth's orbit, broadcasting messages of submission, demanding unconditional surrender, while on Earth, beneath the rubble and the rage, the humans did not beg, they did not yield. They sent only a single message to the stars, a quiet transmission that rippled across the void, carrying two simple words: bring it. And those two words ignited old protocols buried beneath layers of secrecy, and far beyond Sol, past the icy Oort cloud, stationed in the desolate reaches of space where no eyes watched, the UNS Vengeance awoke, and the stars themselves seemed to recoil, because the Vengeance was not a ship designed for exploration or diplomacy. It was humanity's answer to annihilation, a vessel built from the nightmares of every war humanity had fought and every lesson they had learned. Its hull composed of adaptive stealth alloys that drank in light, rendering it invisible even to the most advanced sensors, its weapons capable of delivering destruction on a scale the Council had forbidden and feared, and most terrifying of all, it was crewed not by politicians or scientists, but by veterans, survivors, and the most dangerous minds humanity had cultivated, individuals selected not for their obedience, but for their resolve to ensure that no attack on Earth would ever go unanswered. And as the Vengeance accelerated towards Sol at impossible velocities, its existence reclassified from myth to reality, panic began to ripple through the Zorvani fleet as fragmented transmissions from their outlying scouts detected an unidentified mass approaching, one that registered no recognizable signature, no energy output, only a deep void on their scanners that seemed to swallow every signal sent its way. And the fleet commander, Admiral Zertok, initially dismissed the reports as sensor glitches, artifacts of human sabotage perhaps, until the first of his forward observation ships vanished, gone not in a burst of light and debris, but in absolute silence, as if it had been plucked from existence by an unseen hand. And then another disappeared, and another, until only empty space remained where his picket line once floated. And finally, when the Vengeance broke cloak and revealed itself on the edges of the fleet, the Zorvani understood the magnitude of their mistake. For this was not a battleship, not a dreadnought, but something else entirely, a predator among prey, its angular form bristling with weaponry unknown to the Zorvani, its sleek hull etched with the cold efficiency of human engineering, and worse still, it bore no colors, no markings of alliance or diplomacy, only its name, Vengeance, scorched into its armored flanks as a promise. And before the fleet could reposition, before their weapons could fully charge, the Vengeance struck, its first salvo not a barrage of plasma or kinetic slugs, but coordinated deployment of autonomous hunter drones, black as the void, invisible to targeting arrays, slipping through the fleets, defenses like phantoms, infiltrating ship after ship, disabling engines, severing life support and triggering silent internal detonations that reduced proud warships to drifting tombs. And as panic gripped the Zorvani, as their formation crumbled, the Vengeance advanced, unleashing its primary weapons, gravitic shear cannons that tore holes in the fabric of space itself, rending ships apart at the atomic level, and directional energy lances that speared through shields and armor alike, and all the while the ship broadcast a singular message on every frequency, calm, measured, unmistakably human. This is retaliation, not negotiation, and no pleas, no cries for surrender halted the advance, because the Vengeance was not here to broker peace. It was here to fulfill the unspoken doctrine humanity had lived by since before they joined the galactic community. The doctrine that those who dared to spill human blood would pay a price so severe it would echo through generations. And as ship after ship fell, the Zorvani realized too late that they had never truly understood the humans, never grasped the depth of their resolve or the darkness of their vengeance. And Admiral Zertalk, staring at the tactical displays filled with red markers of destruction, issued the retreat order. But the Vengeance was faster, more relentless, carving to the fleeing vessels with surgical precision, until only a handful escaped, limping back to Zorvani space with broken hulls and shattered morale, carrying with them a singular truth that no species could now deny, that humanity, in its restraint, had merely been waiting, building, and now that they had been provoked, there would be no sanctuary, no diplomatic loophole, only consequences. And as the survivors reported to the Zorvani High Command, showing the wreckage, the footage of the Vengeance, and the final message broadcast from the human ship, attack Earth again, and we bring more than just 1 inch. The council chambers fell into horrified silence, the realization dawning not just upon the Zorvani, but across the entire galactic stage, that they had attacked the wrong species, a species born from hardship, forged in conflict, and capable, above all, of building ships designed not merely for defense, but for revenge so absolute that it would become legend. And though humanity's diplomats spoke again at the next galactic summit, their words were no longer laced with the cautious optimism of newcomers, but with the unshakable confidence of a species that had drawn a line of steel, fire, and blood, in the galaxy, wiser now, understood that to cross that line was to invite the coming of dangerous ships, silent and unseen, carrying the wrath of a world that never forgot and never forgave.